19-year-old Diane Suzuki had a bright future ahead of her. Diane was a student at the University of Hawaii at Manoa, where she aspired to be a journalist. She also worked as a part-time instructor and dancer at the Rosalie Woodson Dance Academy. On July 6, 1985, Diane was finishing up a dance lesson when she was last seen at 3 p.m. Diane had plans to go to the North Shore of Oahu with some of her friends once she was done with work. Witnesses would recount that there was nothing unusual about her demeanor or behavior. At 3:15 p.m., one of Diane's friends stopped by the dance studio to see her, but Diane was gone. Diane's keys and purse were left behind, and her car was still in the parking lot. There were no obvious signs of a struggle, and nothing seemed out of place inside the dance studio. Perhaps Diane just stepped out for a quick errand. Unfortunately, that would not be the case, as Diane never came back. Diane's parents became concerned and parked outside the dance studio to wait for Diane. While waiting outside, Diane's parents witnessed 3 people leaving the building carrying a heavy trunk. The trunk was placed on a vehicle, and the party drove off. The trunk was being carried by Dewey Hamasaki. He was accompanied by his father and sister. Dewey worked at the studio as a photographer. He was known to be odd and a little strange. It was known that he had a crush on Diane that turned obsessive. Dewey was suspected of stalking Diane and made continuous advances at her. Police brought Dewey in for questioning. Police noticed some scratches on Dewey's face. When questioned, Dewey claimed that he was attacked by a rooster, which was a story his family corroborated. He claimed that the truck was full of photography equipment. The area around Dewey's house included some marshes, which were searched, but no evidence was found. Police began to look for other suspects. Diane's boyfriend, Lester Ganton, was questioned and ruled out as a suspect. It was also theorized that perhaps Diane became a victim of the Honolulu Strangler, who had murdered at least 5 victims during the same time frame that Diane had gone missing. This was ruled out due to the fact that Diane's disappearance did not meet the profile of the other victims in the Honolulu Strangler case. Police continued to investigate Diane's disappearance. 5 years after she disappeared, police applied for 2 search warrants. One was for the dance studio, and the second was for a pig farm owned by Dewey's father. Only the warrant for the dance studio was approved. Police searched the dance studio and located small traces of blood in the bathroom while using luminol. Luminol was a new technology at the time, and this was the Honolulu Police Department's first case involving luminol. Unfortunately, there were no blood samples of Diane's to compare the stain to. 6 months later, the search warrant for the pig farm was approved. While searching the pig farm, detectives noticed a section of a stone wall that appeared to have been recently rebuilt. Dewey's father was noticeably agitated when detectives focused in on the section of the stone wall. The attorney Dewey and his family hired pulled the prosecutor aside and asked if a plea bargain could be made that day for manslaughter. The prosecutor rejected any deal because he felt they would soon locate the evidence they needed for a murder charge. Detectives also removed a stump of a tree and began digging underneath. They located clothing that was of similar size and description to what Diane had been wearing when she was last seen. Detectives also looked behind the stone wall, but unfortunately, nothing was located. Detectives did take samples of the soil on the stone wall. Results indicated that the wall was built 6 months earlier. Detectives believe that the 6-month delay from the 2 search warrants gave Dewey and his family enough time to move and hide Diane's body to a new location. But proving this would be difficult, if not impossible. In 1993, prosecutor Keith Kaneshiro brought the case before a grand jury. Despite nearly 100 witnesses, 300 hours of testimony, and thousands of dollars spent, the court declined to press charges due to a lack of damning evidence. A funeral was held for Diane in 1997, despite the fact that her body has never been found. Although Diane's disappearance is heartbreaking, there were some positive changes that resulted from her case. The first being that the Honolulu Police Department began to utilize new forensic technology, including the use of luminol. The second was that the discovery of the blood at the dance studio led to new legislation to Hawaii's harassment laws to include stalking and increased the penalty of temporary restraining order violations to a felony. Diane's body has never been located, and her case remains unsolved.